This is a presentation of BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here is your host of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for March 26, 2025. This is season 14, episode number 53, and episode number 492 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Bob Howard, and I want to thank everybody. Listen, we've only got like 3 weeks left in the regular season. For the Binghamton Black Bears themselves, they have 6 games. That's it. Just 6 games left in the regular season, and they are only 6 wins away from 50 wins on the season. Now, I know everyone's kind of talking about that and saying, hey, this is a possibility. It doesn't matter, honestly, truly, 100%. It does not matter if they get to 50 wins. They've already clinched everything that they could clinch at this point, so it doesn't really matter if the Black Bears hit 50. But would it be cool? Absolutely. Would it be kind of like a neat little thing to say, hey, listen, this team won 50 games in just 56 games? That would be pretty cool, and it would be something that in Binghamton hockey history, first of all, no matter what, even if they lose the next 6 games, they will have the best winning percentage in Binghamton hockey history. That's talking about all of the leagues that Binghamton hockey has been in, whether it be the UHL, the original North American Hockey League, the NHL, or the AHL. It doesn't matter. This will be the best season winning percentage-wise. And I know people, want to compare, it's the AHL versus the FPHL or the UHL, which had obviously people who played in the UHL go and play in the NHL, right? Just speaking about Dieter Kocken, who's going to be inducted into the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, he went from the UHL right to the NHL. He didn't make a stop at the AHL. He's the only player in UHL history to go there and then go and play in the NHL. So, but 50 wins is pretty kind of cool. Even if they get to, I think it'd be ironic, right? Because last year, Coach Sherwood said, well, we got 39 wins. It'd be great if we hit 40. I think it would be very ironic, and I'm not trying to jinx them or anything to that sort, that they hit 49 wins, right? And it's almost like, well, you just needed one more to get to 50. But it's still a great thing to talk about, a great topic to talk about. And I think the Black Bears fans should feel very fortunate. Not only do they have a great team, but they've also got a great community that they've all kind of wrapped themselves around. We have a really great hockey community in Binghamton. We could talk about all the things that they do for the Black Bears, but the Black Bears do a lot of things great for their fans as well. The amount of signatures and autographs and pictures, things of that nature that they do for their fans is pretty awesome. But the Black Bears fans have been pretty awesome to the hockey world and the hockey community. And it's very interesting. I hope to someday, maybe in 5 or 6 years, sit down with someone who could actually really write a book. And I want to tell a story within that book about Binghamton hockey, from the Duster days to the Whalers, to the Rangers, to the Senators and the Icemen, all put together with what the Black Bears have been able to do. And I want to see a little bit more of what the Black Bears can do. And in some regards, I want to see what the next chapter is for the Black Bears as well, right? Because that eventually Tyson Kirkby is going to move on. That eventually Brant Sherwood is going to move on. He's got a career. He's got a career to develop and to move up. And I want to see what happens next for the Black Bears, right? Because we're talking about the model city, the model franchise in the FPHL right now. right? Yes, Monroe is leading in the attendance by 400 or 500. They're doing great, and congratulations to the ownership group and the people just involved down there in Monroe and what they've done, in the fans. You've done a great job getting people into that building. That's awesome. That's honestly an accomplishment, especially in the first season, to do that. I think Athens has done a good job, but realistically, let's be honest, Binghamton is the role model city for this league. The barn is not too big like Mississippi. No offense to Mississippi. I'm not knocking Mississippi. It's a beautiful barn from everything I can see on the YouTube channel and the games. And I know there's probably some really good fans down there. And Justin Barr, who I desperately still want to get here on the Power Play Post Show at some point to tell his story in the way that I can help him tell it. It's just a big barn. It's just really big. And I know that there's the possibility, and the news came out earlier today about maybe Florence, South Carolina, which is perfect. If you think about it in the Fed, for the Southeast teams to add another team there, excellent. It'll be good for Columbus, Carolina, even for Blue Ridge to have a fourth team that is within that 3 to 4 hour mark. Saves a little bit more on your travel costs, which I think will be a good thing. So I honestly think that's a good thing. But again, when you look at it, they seat 4893 in Binghamton. The average is good. Now, I was watching earlier today because Christian from Minor Pro Hero put out an article today about expansion and talked a little bit about Florence in there. But there was a thing in there from the Carolina Thunderbirds coaches show with Coach Harry. And I think if you guys can find it, go to Minor Pro Hero, check out his blog, Christian's blog, and really watch that video and listen to their team owner and Coach Harry talk about the situation, because they talk about their barn a little bit, and their barn is a little bit smaller than the Black Bears at the Veterans Memorial Arena. And one of the things that I found very interesting is they were talking about how they feel like they're the model team in the league. And, I'm sure they do great. And, this is a conversation I had with Gary Ryan once, and we kind of went back and forth a little bit. And he's like, well, but, the Thunderbirds are at 90% or more all the time. I said, well, 90% of 3,600 or whatever it is one thing, but, being able to sell out 7 times, maybe 8 times this season at 48.93, and then hitting over 110,000 for the second year in a row, I don't know. I think the model is good, but what was interesting about that conversation, and I'm not knocking Carolina at all, the great organization, Brendan Riley, everybody there was pretty is doing a phenomenal job down there. But they mentioned something that I think is very important. The team owner was talking about getting a new rink, because there was the rumor out there about getting Carolina a new rink. And because he talked about it, getting another 1,500 fans in the building, getting themselves up to around 5,000 fans, like in Binghamton. So I think that their mindset is, for this league, that you want to be around that 4,800, 5,000, maybe 5,200, or maybe the size of the barn that they have there in Monroe, right, is the perfect model. But of course, you're not going to find that in every city that, isn't already being used, right? So any city that's not being used, you're not going to find that perfect barn like that. Because even Florence, South Carolina, 7,000, 7,800, I think is the max in the Florence Center, might be just too big, right? The cost is going to be a little bit more to rent the space. You have to get a good deal from whoever owns the arena. These are things that are very important. That's the beautiful thing about Binghamton. Binghamton has obviously 4893 great fans. When Carolina was up there, they saw what we can do. We could fill that barn at 5,000 fans, and it's nice. They want that. That's what makes Binghamton the model. But at the same time, when you're looking at a Florence with 7,800 or Carolina, but that probably doesn't have a big enough barn, because I agree with them. They probably could bring in 4,800 on a regular basis, or maybe even 4,500. Or maybe their average would be what it is in Binghamton, right? Maybe Winston-Salem and Binghamton, even though Winston-Salem is a bigger market, because they are a bigger market, right? It's like 1.2 million or 1.3 million, and the argument is well, they have a lot more to do. That's why they don't sell more. But I think the team owner realizes that if he had another 1,500 seats, he could probably fill them on a regular basis. Maybe get 10 sellouts at 5,000. That right there is half of your way to getting to 100,000 fans, which has been difficult for Carolina to do, because you'd almost have to max out every single game. And you can't always do that. Large groups kind of get shunned out. Binghamton has had groups as big as 500, sometimes over 1,000 if Word of Life comes. So, and they have the arena to fit that and to bring that in there. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up. I thought it was an interesting interview. I really appreciate Brendan Riley and Coach Harrison, and I can't remember the team owner's name right now, from Carolina. But it was a great conversation, and I'm not knocking them at all. But I do think that Binghamton is the model, and having another sellout this upcoming, next few games would be great. I know the Binghamton Patriots are going to be honored with the puck drop on Friday against Danbury, which I think is pretty awesome. And there's so many things that Binghamton hockey just kind of encompasses, and they put their arms around and they help people. Like the drive that one fan, Callie Howe, organized for the Dashers Hockey Club. Yeah, sure, maybe some people would have wished that all that love and attention went just to the Black Bears, but that's the beautiful thing about Binghamton hockey is that we kind of love just hockey just in general. I think Binghamton fans sometimes get a bad name. I think Binghamton hockey gets a bad rap sometimes, and it's unfortunate. It really is, because I think there's a lot of good that comes out of it, and I really hope that at some point that when the Fed decides to stop growing and get to a certain size, and they stop and they just kind of really continue to develop the markets that they have already. But they are spread out thin in the north. The south, if Florence comes in, kind of helps them a little bit. And it's a good move if it can happen, which would be pretty cool. All right. We have a great show for you. Let me get into the must-reads, and then we'll get going. But I wanted to go off on that little tangent there for just a few minutes. I am excited about the weekend's games against Danbury. I think they're going to be entertaining. I think both teams are playing pretty well right now. And there are some storylines for Binghamton this upcoming weekend. All right, the Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show, whichever platform you listen to your podcast, and please subscribe. I check all the numbers at least once every couple weeks. Those numbers keep going up, so I think I'm doing something good, something right. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all the love, especially from the Black Bears this past weekend as they used our YouTube channel. We don't know yet if they're going to get theirs back yet by Friday, but if not, you'll be able to catch the game here on the Power Play Post Show's YouTube page. But obviously, we'll kind of announce all of that as we get closer. I know the Black Bears are working on trying to get their YouTube channel back from Google and YouTube. It's very difficult trying to just get a person to talk to about something like that. They have these rules in place, Facebook, and, people talk about going into Facebook jail and stuff like that, right? It's very hard to get someone to talk to about that. So it's unfortunate. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search for Power Play Post Show. We are just shy of 900 members in there. I'd love to see that get to 1,000 by the end of playoffs, if possible. That would be very cool. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. And on this edition of the Power Play Post Show, I'm really excited to talk to this guy. He went overseas for the year. He's back. He's back in Canada, up at at home right now in Canada. And I'm excited to talk to him. Former Black Bears defenseman, LA, Liam Anderson, one of my favorites. And we'll talk to him in just a little bit. All right. The Black Bears play a home-and-home series against the Danbury Hat-Tricks this weekend on Friday in Binghamton and then Saturday in Danbury. The Black Bears this season are 6-1-1 through 8 games that they've played so far this season between the two teams. The Black Bears have 6 remaining games left in the season. This is important here. And 3 of them are including these 2 this weekend, are against the Hat-Tricks. All right, so there's 6 games left, 2 against Athens, 1 against HC Venom, and 3 against the Danbury Hat-Tricks. Now, 2 of those are at home in Binghamton, 1 at the end of the last weekend of the season, and, of course, this upcoming Friday. Here's how the season series has gone so far, okay? We're going to go backwards. So we're going to go from the game that just happened all the way back to the original, all right? So on March 14th, Binghamton got a win. It was C.J. Happard's first win as a professional. The team was down 1-3, but came back and won 4-3, okay? Now, before that, there was a couple months gap. It was like 2.5 months since the teams had played. And that was on December 28th. It was a win. C-Mac got a 5-0 shutout, and Ramakers had 2 goals in that game. That was a 5-0 win for the Black Bears. Before that was November 7th. Okay, so there was like a month difference there as well. And Cade Henry, when he was with the team, had 2 goals. Kirkby had the game-winning goal in a 3-2 win. That was in Binghamton. Now, on the 23rd, there was a 7-4 loss to Danbury in Danbury, right? You kind of have to expect, right, that Danbury is going to win at home, even against the Black Bears. Even when the Black Bears are winning 50 games in a season, Danbury's going to get a win down there. It is a tough place to play. Everybody knows that. Don had 2 goals in that game in the 7-4 loss and 1 assist. And but it was a loss that kind of like was coupled in with the suspensions and things of that nature to Coach Sherwood and Kyle Steffen, so kind of important. Now, there were 3 games in a row, if you remember, in November in Danbury. On November 16th, the Black Bears got their second shutout against the Hat-Tricks, and this one was actually down in Danbury. It was a 4-0 shutout win for Nolan Egbert. Tyson Kirkby had a game-winning goal and the power play goal. It was actually the first goal of the game. It was a power play goal and the game winner. Okay. Now, on November 15th, the night before, they had a win, and it was Cam Clark getting a goal in that game, and Gavin Yates got the game winner in the 2-1 win down in Danbury. And the nice thing is, I think the Black Bears are comfortable playing in Danbury now. I know there's craziness in Danbury. There's always something crazy going on in Danbury, but it's amazing how much that, they are comfortable now playing in Danbury. Okay. Now, the only loss that the Black Bears took to the Hat-Tricks in Binghamton was a 4-3 loss on November 2nd in the shootout. If you remember correctly, they went 8 rounds in that shootout, and Josh LaBelle got the only goal. What a game that was a 4-3 win for the Hat-Tricks. A stellar game. Again, the games against the Hat-Tricks this year have been good. They've been played very respectfully. I think the players on the teams have done a good job of being physical but not over the top, which has been pretty cool. Okay. First game of the season was a 3-2 win for the Black Bears in overtime, and Cam Clark got the power play goal in overtime to win that game. So, again, Black Bears 6-1-1 this year so far against the Danbury Hat-Tricks. The season has seen mostly competitive and respectful play between the Black Bears and the Hat-Tricks. Only one game, the 11-16 game, November 16th, a 4-0 shutout victory for the Black Bears, saw any issues And it was in Danbury, behind the Black Bears bench, as the team got into it with fans. Fans threw beers at the players, and water was thrown out at the fans. I think Coach Sherwood actually threw a water bottle. This did lead to a 4-game suspension for Brant Sherwood and a 2-game suspension for Kyle Steffen. However, other than that, there hasn't been too much in the bad play between the players or the organizations, which is good. Now, obviously, before we move on in the preview here between these two teams, Coach Sherwood is suspended right now. He's got 3 more games on his suspension. I imagine he is going to travel and be in the stands down in Danbury. I'm hoping, of all hopes, that everybody's going to keep cool, calm, collected heads, unlike the last time he was down there for a game in Danbury. And last year, there was issues between he and one of the team owners. So hopefully that will be okay and everybody will be good. Maybe Andreas should fly up for that game and sit with Brant, just to make sure that everybody keeps the calm, cool, collected head. Because Andreas is like one of those really super chill guys, and I could only imagine what would it take to get him to blow up. So, but hopefully everything will be fine. I know, again, the two teams on ice have been really good this year. Even Cam Cervoni, who got injured from a Chase Harwell hit, said, he didn't do anything wrong. It was just the way the hit happened, and that's that. All right. The hat tricks are led by Gleb Van Durken. He's got 28 goals, 28 assists for 56 points in 45 games played. Pretty good season. 2 power play goals, 2 shorthanded goals, and 4 game-winning goals. Johnny Ruiz, you would have to expect it. He is the co-head coach along with Kyle Gonzalez. He's got 24 goals, 29 assists, and 53 points in 41 games played. He's got 10 power play goals. He is deadly on the power play. He's got 5 shorthanded goals and 1 game-winning goal. Very similar to Tyson Kirkby, right? Kirks has got 10 power play goals, 4 shorthanded goals, and 4 game-winning goals. And Johnny Ruiz has got 10 power play goals and 5 shorthanded goals. Those two players, again, just seem to play the game the right way. I know some people have their feelings about Kirkby, and I think Johnny Ruiz overall seems to be more respected amongst fans and maybe the way people look at it. But Johnny Ruiz and Tyson Kirkby play the game kind of very similar. And maybe Tyson's got a little bit more of a physical edginess to him than Ruiz does, but the results are pretty much the same. So that's something to think about. Chase Harwell, we already mentioned him, but 25 goals, 25 assists, and 50 points in 36 games played. Good season for him. Also deadly on the special teams. 7 power play goals, 4 shorthanded goals, and 3 game-winning goals for him. Obviously, we can't talk about the team without talking about Connor McCollum. Still having a good year. 20 wins, 11 losses, 6 overtime losses with a 3.08 goals against average. They just don't score enough. I think on the hat tricks, they've really played really well though as of late. I think they're 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. He's got a .915 save percentage as well. So a lot of times you judge more the save percentage versus the goals against. I still think they're good factors for goaltenders to determine how good they're playing, because good goaltenders are going to have good goals against averages because they are stopping the puck. But a lot of people say the save percentage is a more true individual stat for goaltenders to kind of judge them by. But I'm not a goaltender, so I really shouldn't be judging them anyways. The Black Bears are led by Tyson Kirkby. He's got 33 goals, 51 assists, and 84 points in 41 games played. Now, yes, I am bringing him up in that they're led by him, even though he won't play in Friday's game due to suspension. He's got 10 power play goals, 4 shorthanded goals, and 4 game-winning goals. Suspended for Friday's game, but he will be back for Saturday's game against the Hat-Tricks down in Danbury. Austin Thompson, he'll be the leader probably going into Friday's game with points, with 29 goals, 32 assists, and 61 points in 49 games played. He's also got 4 power play goals, 3 shorthanded goals, and basically has been Mr. Clutch this year with 9 game-winning goals for the Black Bears. And that's a career high for him with really everything. Goals, assists, points, pretty much career highs for him. Austin Thompson's having a pretty good year for a guy who has not gotten a look-see from anybody yet. Okay, CJ Stubbs, 21 goals, 38 assists for 59 points. No surprises there, right? He started off slow in the beginning of the season, but he's come on pretty good. 59 points in 39 games played. It's pretty good. 7 power play goals, 2 shorthanded goals, and 3 game-winning goals. And, of course, we got to talk about Dakota Bonnie's coming back, right? 16 goals, 41 assists, 59 points in 45 games played, 8 power play goals, 2 shorthanded goals, 5 game-winning goals. Connor McAnanima, 28, 2-1 with a 1.99 goals against average and a 925 save percentage. Hands down, one of the best goalies in this league. And he got better from last year to this year. I don't know if he's going to come back for a third season. I kind of really hope he does. I really want to see how good he could be in a third season with the Black Bears. I really think that his numbers could improve. But, again, can the Black Bears really repeat next year what they're doing this year? I don't know. It is so hard to do something like this. They're not the Florida Everblades who won 3 ECHL, I believe it was Florida, that won 3 ECHL titles in a row. I don't know if a team can repeat this a third year in a row, especially not in the Fed. There's so much movement, so many players. There's going to be an expansion draft. That's going to take players away. It is so hard. And if Brant moves up, who comes in? Do they have the same cachet with these colleges to bring in and recruit people? I don't know. I need to enjoy the moment that we're in now, right? We got 3 more weeks. And then about 3 weeks of playoffs. We got about 6 weeks left to go, and everything's going to be over with. And then we got to think about what's going to happen next year after that. But it's so hard to not think, like, what the hell's going to happen? I mean, if they get 50 wins this year, like, you can't top that. I feel bad for Andreas and the front office staff. How do you sell tickets when you can't do 50 again? I mean, maybe if they played 10 more games, and all right, and then it's a little bit different, but oh my gosh. Noel Negbert has a record of 14-3-0 with a 3.3 goals against average and an 887 save percentage. And then, of course, they also have, and whether or not he will get a game this weekend, I mean, he probably will get a game, maybe. CJ Happard, 2-0 with a 3.53 goals against average and a .851 save percentage. And the 2 wins are there. I kind of wish those other numbers were better, but he's only played 2 professional games, so get over it. And I don't know what the hell I'm talking about because I'm not good with goaltending anyways. All right, specialty teams. Let's talk about this. Binghamton ranked number 1 in the power play, 64 power play goals. That's the most in the league. For the second straight year, I think they're going to end with the most in the league because really the closest 2 teams in the power play department is Danbury and Watertown, and they both have 50 power play goals. And Binghamton has had more chances. Okay, so teams commit more minor penalties against Binghamton than any other team, which is interesting. But they have 64 power play goals, 26% rate. Conversion rate, penalty kill ranked 3rd with 33 power play goals against, 86%. 86% is pretty good. Again, they're ranked 3rd. I don't think they're going to hit number 1. They would have to basically shut everybody out from power play goals over the next 6 games and have other people kind of falter a little bit. So I don't think their penalty kill is going to get to number 1. It could potentially get number 2 depending on how well they do. But I think, listen, if you have the number 1 ranked power play, number ranked 3 penalty kill, you're doing something right. You're doing pretty good, okay? Danbury's power play is ranked number 3 with 50 power play goals, 25%. Again, less chances. The conversion rate is similar, right? 25%, 26%. That's close, right? And it's really, there's some decimal points there that even bring it closer. It's like 0.8 off. Right, but they just don't get the same amount of chances. And the penalty kill for the hat tricks, a little bit less than stellar, sort of. Penalty kill is ranked 10th with 45 power play goals against, a 78% kill rate. The difference, though, is that Danbury is dangerous on the shorthanded. I mean, when they're shorthanded, you got someone like Johnny Reeves out there who does and plays and thinks similar to the Black Bears. When they're on a penalty kill, they've got 12 shorthanded goals. Black Bears have 14. It's pretty darn close. So even though the numbers in the kill doesn't look the same, they think and kind of work very similar. Okay. All right. Big keys coming into this weekend. Dakota Bond is back on Friday for the at home from suspension. That is big. I'm sure Courtney June is going to be absolutely tickled pink to see Dakota back out there again. And that's a shout out to Courtney. Thank you always for listening. Tyson Kirkby is back on Saturday in Danbury from suspension. We could be playing our future second round opponent this weekend. Right? So if you think about it, Binghamton's going to play the 4th or the 5th seed, and Danbury is going to play the 3rd seed. And that's going to more than likely be Watertown. So, at least I think so. Let me go to the standings real quick. Yeah. Port Huron, right? So Danbury and Port Huron are more than likely going to play against each other. And Binghamton will play either Watertown or Motor City. So if you think about it, Binghamton, possibly plays Watertown, beats them, goes on to the second round. It could be Danbury that they're going to be playing against. So that'll be very interesting to see. I think sometime this weekend I'm going to pull together how Danbury's done against the other teams and how Port Huron and Watertown have done against the other teams. Right? I'll come up with that list of how they played against those teams this year and maybe have that for the Sunday podcast, right? Because I'm kind of interested to see, what's Danbury's record against Port Huron and what's, we pretty much know what it is for Binghamton, but what is Danbury and Port Huron's record against each other, and then maybe even see what, I think that's the one I want to see to go from there. But Port Huron is on a 7-game winning streak. So maybe they're going to be the team that could beat Danbury, right? So I don't know. There's still a lot to play out in the Empire Division. Nothing is really settled. And what's funny is maybe it's settled for the seeding right now, but it's not settled on who's going to win what. Because Port Huron's won 7 in a row. Binghamton's won 5 in a row. Danbury's won 3 in a row. Right, but then if you go and you look up at the conference, Carolina's won 1 in a row. Athens has lost 1 in a row. There's not really any really good positive streaks happening in the other division. Somehow the tide is kind of changing. Yeah, sure, you can say that maybe 2 of their bottom feeder teams or 2 of their bottom teams are doing better than say Motor City and HC Venom, right? But not everybody's going to make the playoffs over there, right? You're going to have Monroe, who's at 63 points right now. They may potentially miss the playoffs completely, right? They're 14 points behind Blue Ridge. They're just not going to make it in. And they're going to have more points than Motor City and HC Venom and Danville all together. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But we could be playing that. So I expect the last game on March 14th, like the last game on March 14th, for this to be a playoff atmosphere game on Friday. The game on the 14th, when Danbury was up 3-1, the Black Bears flipped a switch and scored 3 unanswered goals to come back to win the game. Danbury are winners of the last 3 games and are 7-1-2 in their last 10 games, so they're playing well. We will see more rookies play this weekend. They will need to get 5 games to be eligible for playoffs. So Swain with 3 goals, Bernardo with 4 assists, Dolbles, Benchik, and Happer are going to get games. You're going to see these guys in there, and it's important for you to see these guys. After these 2 games, the Black Bears will likely have Sunday off, maybe even Monday off as well, but then we'll travel on Tuesday to Athens, Georgia, to play 2 games on Wednesday and Thursday against the Athens Rock Lobsters. And then they'll have 8 days off. and then they'll come back to play against the Hat-Tricks and the HC Venom, both games at home for the Black Bears. That basically rounds out the regular season. That's how the regular season is going to go. You got 2 games against Danbury, home and home. Then you have 3 days off, and then you play 2 games against Athens down in Georgia. Then you have 8 days off, right? So you can likely give the guys, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off after the Athens series, and then come back and really kind of fine-tune things a little bit before going into the playoffs. I mean, we already know they're going into the playoffs. Home ice all the way through. Not really much to play for except for, Tyson's kind of like fantasy of 50 wins, which it's great. If they do it, it's a storyline. It's a great storyline, but they don't necessarily have to do that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show, he is our good friend, and I'm so excited to be able to get to talk to him about his time in Europe, and he actually got a letter on his sweater. We'll talk about that. With Liam Anderson, L.A., comes back to the Power Play Post Show, coming up right here next on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buchinski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. I am very excited to be talking to this gentleman again. He's back in North America. I got to say North America because he's actually up in East York, Ontario, and he's coming to us from there. He just got done with his playing season with Harsefeld in the Germany 4 League. He is Liam L.A. Anderson. Liam, welcome back to the show. It's great to talk to you. We've been talking for a little bit as you were driving home from the gym and just kind of catching up and reconnecting a little bit. Thank you very much for coming back on the show, and I really appreciate talking to you again.
Yeah, Bob, thanks for having me. It's always fun to chat with you and reconnect, and I'm just happy you're giving me the opportunity to share my experience playing hockey in Germany.
Yeah, so obviously you made the decision to not come back and play in the Fed this past season. Talk to me a little bit about the decision. I know we've talked about it before, but just remind the fans a little bit why you made the decision to kind of head overseas and play in Germany.
Yeah, I know it was definitely a tough one, leaving upstate New York behind and all the great memories and friends I made there, but I think I've always just kind of wanted to see the world and experience something new, and I had a great opportunity to play in Harsefeld this year, and I kind of just said, hey, why not? And, as much as I hate to say it, I don't kind of regret leaving Binghamton, and I really enjoyed my experience in Harsefeld, so, yeah.
So let's talk about it. You kind of land in Germany, and I think you get picked up by one of your teammates. Talk about that first experience getting over there and getting into the country for the first time.
I just remember getting over there was a really long day. Going forward in time is never easy. I think I was jet lagged for a week. I just remember leaving midday from Toronto, flying to Frankfurt, and then another hour to Hamburg. And I remember showing up at around noon local time in Germany and just spent all day in bed and woke up at like 3 a.m. and it was just a crazy day. And man, I was jet lagged for probably a week. It was nuts.
You said
getting used to the time change.
Yeah, you said you were jet lagged for almost a week after coming back last weekend too, right?
Yeah, traveling's never easy, man.
Well, now you've gone ahead in time, so you've gone into the future, and then you've kind of come back back in time. I got to imagine that's crazy. But talk about that first day being in Germany. How different is it from really anything that you've seen here in North America?
Well, I'd say just like the town in general, like I don't know, it's just so different. Like, all the roads are smaller. Like, no one's driving, like, big rig trucks like Ford F-150s. Like, all the architecture of the houses and the churches are different. All the cafes. And just kind of like being in the countryside, it's just all so different. It's a different world over there.
Did it kind of like really, I don't know, was it kind of refreshing to kind of see something different like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, again, man, it's just so different. It's kind of hard to describe. I'd say one of the big things over there is just the way people drive. Well, first of all, everyone over there drives manual.
Really? A stick?
Yeah. So
I grew up driving stick, right? I grew up on a farm, so learned how to drive a tractor, and that's stick and everything. My first car had a stick, so that's the way I learned how to drive and everything. Not something that you were used to?
no, I never learned how to drive stick. Honestly, the only person over here who I knew that drives stick is my good friend Dan Weber on the Black Bears.
Oh, yeah. So Weebs, I got to talk to Weebs about that. I'm actually interviewing him tomorrow for next week, and I'll have to have that conversation with him because I just literally sold a car that had a stick, and my wife and I now only have an automatic, which I'm sad about, but she's happy about because now she can just leave the house without me whenever she wants. And where before she had to get me to drive her everywhere because she doesn't drive stick. So that's I'll have to talk. You know what? It doesn't surprise me. I know Weeb's dad, and that makes sense that he drives stick. So talk about the team. Talk about the first day that you show up for practice and you're meeting the guys.
I'd say the biggest culture shock was just meeting the guys, and they're all speaking German, and then they switch back to English when they're talking to you and stuff, and just hearing the different languages was definitely something different. Again, most people in Europe are bilingual. I got by perfectly fine speaking English, but man, it was just so different kind of hearing guys speak their different languages. There were 2 Swedish guys on the team. I roomed with one of them. I think on a daily basis, I heard 4 different languages.
Oh, wow. And
that's just, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and you said that almost all the guys over there, who are German, they almost always, because it's their second language over there is English, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it is. I think over there in school you have to learn English, and they take it seriously, and then you have the option to learn a third language. But again, it is cool. They're doing something over there, right, that we're not doing here. I learned French in school, but I speak more German than I do French now, and that's next to none.
Yeah. It is interesting that I think both in Canada and the U.S., and maybe a little bit more in Canada, because there is the French-speaking portion of Canada that there's a lot of people that do speak both French and English. But I would agree with you. There's probably something to be learned, from the, Germany and Poland and, France and Spain, where they teach both basically languages, their home country language and English, to make sure that everybody can communicate with each other.
Well, yeah, it's just super useful for them too, but I just find it impressive, how well they do it, because again, when they're speaking to each other, they're only speaking German, and they don't use English unless they're either talking to the imports or they're on vacation for a couple weeks out of the year, and they're all fluent.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about the first day that you guys are on the ice together. What was that like?
Again, it was we went up to Denmark to skate as a team, and just kind of getting all the rust off the flight and stuff. And for most of those guys, it was their first time on the ice in a couple months, because in the north of Germany, they kind of shut down all the hockey once the hockey season's over, and then all the summer sports like soccer's the big thing over there.
Yeah.
So I'd say that, and honestly, just getting used to the Olympic pad.
Oh yeah, so the pad is much bigger. All right. So obviously in Binghamton, it's not the largest sheet of ice. It's not the smallest either, but it's not obviously the largest sheet of ice. What was that European? There's so much more space for you to skate around in.
Yeah, honestly, I think for me, I like the European game a little more. Like, I don't know, the way I kind of describe it is like the North American game is a very north-south track meet type of game. You know, like if you cross the red and you have nothing, you'd rather dump the puck in and get it deep than turn the puck over in the neutral zone and head back down the other way. But the European game's more like east, west, north. If you can't have a clean zone entry, you're going back, circling D to D, hinge. Like it's more of a puck possession type of game rather than, you know, dumping the puck in and going on a crazy forecheck trying to out-muscle guys.
Right, and you know there are some teams that do that very well here in the States, but you know I see what you're talking about. It's more about moving the puck around, trying to find the lanes to take your shot.
No, exactly, and like there's just little differences in the game too that I kind of had to get used to. Like one big thing was like playing in Binghamton. If I'm getting the puck at the blue line, I'm walking and shooting right away, but in Europe, sometimes that's not really the play because you have so much time and space, and if your forward's not in front of the net screening the goalie, then it's just kind of a wasted shot.
So you have to pass then.
Yeah, pass or just take that extra second with the puck and like make a play.
Who did you pair with anybody on a consistent basis over there? Who was your D partners?
So our coach had this rule where me and the other import D just switched every second shift. So I was pretty much out there for 30 minutes a night. I didn't really have a D partner.
Really? So you were with different people, from shift to shift?
Yeah.
How different is that?
I don't know. I mean, like the experience I had last year in Binghamton, like I didn't consistently play with the same guy. And, I think like when you're on the ice with guys every day for months on months, you kind of learn to notice like tendencies and stuff. And,
sure.
If I'm on the ice with this guy, I can go and be offensive. Or if I'm on the ice with another guy, I can hang back and kind of be more defensive. So I don't know. It's just kind of a read and reaction type of thing. And I'm kind of used to it at this point.
Now, there were two North American imports. You're kind of like a North American import, but I know you kind of went in under your Polish descent. So talk a little bit about, playing with at least another couple Canadians. I think there was McPhee and Brown was there with you. You played. You were one of the three guys that played all 24 games in the regular season. And the other couple Canadians didn't play as much as you did. But talk about where some of their styles similar to your style.
I'd say, like, the big thing about North American guys going over to Europe is, like, we're a lot more gritty.
Yeah.
Like, just, like, in front of the net and in the corners, and we like to chirp and slash guys and maybe, like, have a lot of, like, gamemanship, like, in between whistles, whether it's chirping a guy or bumping them on the way to the face-off.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, like, that's one thing that we all had in common. But it was, like, over there at least once a game, like, I get a ref, like, coming over to me. He's like, dude, like, you got to relax with your stick or else, like, you're going to the box.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you only had 22 penalty minutes, no fighting, right?
So, in the league we played in, you were allowed to fight
with
your gloves on. But as soon as they came off, then you're getting the game.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Rules are different over there.
We saw a couple of guys. Yeah, so, like, we saw a couple fights. Like, I remember we were playing one of the Hamburg teams, and, like, we had an 18-year-old call-up with the cage fighting another guy with the cage with their gloves on, and it was definitely something something pretty interesting to see.
So, what was the play like with this league? I know you said that. Listen, you got a lot of playing time, you got a lot of ice time, you got the captain the power play, which was pretty cool. I know you had a C on your chest at the end of the season, or at least the second half of the season. You had a C on your chest. But talk about the quality of play in this league. What was it like?
So it's kind of like what I told you before. The specific region of Germany 4 I played in, like the Regional League in North, you could have 2 North American imports, and teams could load up on EU imports. So the thing with European hockey is like a lot of teams want to focus on developing their hometown guys. Mm-hmm. Like in Harsefeld, we had, I think, 18 Germans on our roster. And some teams honestly didn't really care and wanted to load up on imports. Like the team we beat in the first round, Zonda, their whole team was Latvian and Czech. They had 2 German guys, and one of them was from Brandon, Manitoba, so I don't really know if he's that German.
Well, we don't know how Polish you are. You're from Canada.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, every time I'd like go around town and be like, yeah, I'm part Polish, and they're like, Liam Anderson from Poland? That doesn't make much sense at all.
Sorry, Liam, it doesn't. LA, it really doesn't. And your nickname's LA, like you're Hollywood, Liam Anderson or something, you know?
Yeah. But hey, we'll take it.
We'll take it. Right, exactly. So talk to me a little bit more about your thoughts of just playing over in Europe, your overall thoughts of that.
I'd say it was like generally really positive. Like, I loved the town I was in. My teammates were great, and I made a lot of close friends away from the rink. And like just thinking back of the 6 months, these past 6 months have been super memorable. They kind of felt like a lifetime, but it was all good and positive. And you know, at the end of the day, just keep thinking about like you're going over there to play a sport and dominate and do well and bring pride to the team and the town, and that's kind of what we did. Like, we made a deep playoff run. We ended up going to the second round, and I think this was the first year in the program's history where the team went to the second round of playoffs in this league. Like 2 years ago, they were in Germany 5.
Right. And this is to kind of explain to the American or North American fan out there, a lot of these European leagues, you can petition to go up a league depending on certain situations or statistical information. You can go up or down, depending on how well you play too. I think they do this the same way in football over there, where a soccer team can go from one version of a league to the next version or the version above that, depending on how well they do, and that's kind of important to the structure of these leagues over there. Correct?
Yeah. So like there is promotion and relegation. I think the winner of the league can decide if they want to go to Germany 3 or not.
That's so cool.
And the loser, and the team that didn't make the playoffs get relegated to Germany 5. Or I think they have to play like the winner of Germany 5 in a playoff series to see who gets promoted and who gets relegated. But, it is kind of a big deal, right? Because as you go up a league, like that influences like, okay, what kind of imports are you going to bring in? How much money are you going to spend into the club? Like, do you need more sponsors? Like, as you go up levels, like, it becomes, like, a lot more serious, right? So some teams, like, may take that opportunity if they have the funding, and some teams might not. So the past two years, the team that won the league, Harsefeld, won the league the past 2 years, and I think they just kind of stay in Germany 4 because they're happy with where they're at. They don't want to be an Oberliga team.
right? Because they may not have the same success. And these leagues, I mean, these teams over here, they're kind of still like, I mean, they got to make money, right? And they got to make their fans happy. And if a team like that can continue to win, they're gonna stay where they are because it's successful and it works. LA, what's your plans for the future? What do you want to do? I know you told me you want to keep playing hockey. That's the most important thing to you. So what is your plan going forward? Do you go back to this team, or do you move on?
I think I want to move on and kind of play at a higher level. Again, it's kind of like what I explained to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like going overseas and being an import, it's a little tougher. Like essentially, you're ending up in a league that you should go up, put points, and dominate in.
Right.
So, like, to give you for like my specific example, like me or like any guy on the Black Bears would be good enough to play in the Oberliga, which is Germany 3. Would we play in that league and dominate? Probably not. We'd be good players, but like every single team that's looking to bring imports in or looking in to bring guys that are going to step in right away, no question, and kind of dominate. So it's like, in my personal experience, why would a Germany 3 team take me when they can take a Canadian guy that played like 4 years at RIT and has experience in the SP and the Coast?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they could probably sign a German guy that's just as good as me. You know what I mean?
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying. So your thought process is to move from this league to a different league.
Yeah, I want to play in Poland because, like, for me, that's my best opportunity to play at a higher level in Europe. Because in that league, I'm considered a local player, not an import. Which is so
interesting. And so tell me a little bit. You've already talked to an agent about doing that, correct?
Yeah. And it kind of seems like a realistic possibility. So again, we'll see when all the seasons are over and what kind of options I have and what the deals look like. But honestly, like, I just want to keep playing hockey. I really don't care where per se, as long as just having fun and making money doing it.
No, absolutely. And okay, so a couple more things I want to touch upon with you. Obviously, you got the C. How that kind of surprised me. They got all these German players that are playing on this team. Like you said, there's about 18 that were on Harsefeld. Why do you think Coach Bonning picked you to be the captain of the team?
Yeah, well, I can't take all the credit. I got to give some credit to my boy, Cam McPhee. He was the original captain of the team, and he found a deal in Evansville in the SP that he felt was a better fit for him. So when he kind of left the team, like at that point in time, I don't know, I was just kind of playing well. I connected with a lot of the boys in the room, and like as the season went on, I just kind of had a bigger voice in the room, and Jan just felt like I was the best fit, and it was just kind of an honor to take the role and kind of be that guy, and like nothing really changed. I'm still the same guy. I just had a letter in my jersey.
Well, I was wondering about that, right? Because, I mean, sometimes leadership roles do change somebody. Not necessarily for the bad, sometimes for the good. But you don't feel like anything changed between you and the boys. It was just more of a relationship with Jan, the head coach, that kind of helped you, maybe, communicate back and forth. You saw what Tyson Kirby did. You know how he communicated sometimes what, Coach Sherwood would want to be communicated to the boys and kind of keep them, on the right path. And that's all you had to do, which is what probably McPhee did as well before you.
Yeah. No, again, like at the beginning of the year, I wasn't even part of the leadership group. And, just as the year went on and I started getting closer with the guys and started talking more in the room and playing a bigger role on the ice, Coach Jan just thought I was the guy for it, and it kind of all worked out.
No, absolutely.
That's really that. I'd say the only thing that kind of really changed about me wearing the letter was just I had a little more kind of thoughts and responsibility of keeping the boys in check, making sure everyone's kind of good and happy, and everyone's being the best versions of themselves, and just kind of same stuff. Just being one of the boys, making them laugh, and just creating a good team dynamic that ultimately leads us to success.
Now you told me, and you can tell everybody how much or how little you want about this. I hear the nightlife was a little bit more fun or a little bit more crazy than it was over here in North America. Is that true?
Yeah, the nightlife in Germany is something else. Well, one thing I have to say, the beer in Germany is 1,000 times better than it is in North America, without a question.
Okay. Now, listen, hold on. You grew up in Canada. They have some pretty good beer up there. You're telling me that the German beer just even blew that out of the water?
Yes.
Molson Triple X is supposed to be considered some of the best beer in the world, and you're saying that the German beer beats that?
Yeah, man. 1,000%.
All right, fair.
But yeah, so the first night we went out as a team, we went into Hamburg, and Hamburg's 45 minutes to an hour from Harsefeld, and it was Oktoberfest, and we got back at 7:30, 8 in the morning, and I was just kind of looking around boys, what was that? And they're like, no, it's normal here, man. That's just how it is over here.
That's awesome.
Man, I went to SUNY Cortland. I thought I knew how to party, and it wasn't even close to what it was like in Germany.
That's fair. You spent a good 4 years in upstate New York after basically being an Ontario boy. You got to experience something completely different. Next year, if you go to Poland, it's going to be even a little bit different of a culture change, which is pretty exciting as well. I have to ask you: have you paid attention to how the Black Bears have done this year?
Oh yeah, I've been dialed into the Black Bears. I still talk to all the boys. I tried to stay up and watch their first game of the year against Watertown, but it was 1:30 local time, and I just couldn't do it. But it's been really cool, just watching the YouTube clips.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. And again, they're dominating. They're doing good. It's probably just a step up of that culture that Sherwood, Andreas, and Kirkby had in that room last year, right? And, from what I hear, all the boys are super close, super competitive, play for each other, fight for each other. So, yeah, I'm actually driving to upstate tomorrow night, so I'll be at the game against Danbury on Friday.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. So, all right, so there you go, folks. If you see LA out and about, in LA, if you do not come up to the press box and say hello and shake my hand, give me a hug, I will be completely offended, and I will erase this episode forever.
No, I'll definitely come do that.
All right, perfect. So that's awesome. So you're going to be there at the game. Are you bringing a friend or somebody? Or are you driving down by yourself? What are you doing?
No, honestly, I'm starting work here in Toronto in a week, and this is kind of the only time where I'm able to kind of do it. And again, I miss all the boys, and I've stayed in contact with a lot of them, like Fletch, Steph, C-Mac, Weebs, and my big brother, Jesse Anderson, of course.
Jesse's great. Great. I don't know if you saw, but Josh Fletcher was behind the bench because Sherwood, got himself in trouble again. The boy's going to be a boy, right? That's the way Sherwood is. But Fletch was behind the bench for 2 games this past weekend. do you see Fletch as being a head coach someday?
Oh, I could see it 100%.
Really?
That'd be the toughest team in hockey in that league for sure.
If Fletch was being, because he'd be sending everybody out to fight. He'd be like, all right, you go take care of him. You go take care of him, which is great. Fletch is awesome. It's unfortunate he got hurt. I know the Black Bears saw two guys get basically a very similar type of injury to their upper body. I'm not going to say much else than that because I'll get in trouble for doing so, and have two guys out on injured reserve because of that. But Liam, you're going to be at the game on Friday. That's awesome. I think everybody will be happy to see you. You'll probably have to shake a few hands, and that'll be great. But you'll probably get to go down and see the boys as well, and I'm sure they'll be excited to see you as well.
Yeah, and shout out to my boy Mike Singleton. He bought my jersey from Harsefeld. So if you see a guy wearing a Harsefeld Anderson jersey, buy him a beer.
Really? Mike Singleton? Yeah. I know who Mike Singleton is. I've seen him, obviously, on all the socials. That's pretty awesome. What'd they do, like an auction online for the jerseys?
Yeah, they did an auction online, and, me and the top scorer of our team, our jerseys, were held out for auctions a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because they were a little more expensive, and a couple days went by, and I asked my GM, Matthias, hey, who bought my jersey? And he's like, I don't know, man. It's someone from the States.
That's awesome.
And then I sent Mike a message on Facebook, and I was like, hey, did you buy my jersey? And he's like, yeah, man.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
Are you going to sign it for him tomorrow? Or I'm sorry, on Friday. Are you going to? Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I didn't want you to sign mine when I got yours, the Whalers jersey. You remember what I said to you? I said you didn't sign it, did you? And you said yeah.
I know. Yeah, I know. I messed up there. So yeah, if he wants it signed, I'll sign it. But if he doesn't,
Well, listen, most people want the jerseys signed. I never do because that means I can't wash them because I'm afraid it's going to come out. And then it'll be like this squiggly, dirty mark, and I'll be like, I don't know what that is. And then people will be like, well, why is it like that? So I've never had any of mine signed. I actually only have one jersey that's signed by a whole team, and it was an all-star team, and my wife got me that jersey. But yours is going to go in a case and go up on the wall anyways because it's a beautiful Whalers jersey, and that thing shouldn't be worn anyways. It should be up because it's gorgeous. The white Binghamton Whalers jersey last year was probably the best retro jersey I've seen any team do because it looked exactly like the Whalers white jersey from the 80s. That's how cool it was. So,
those jerseys were beautiful. I have one hanging up in my room too.
And I'll tell you right now, Liam, I don't care that you signed it. I joke with you. I normally don't get them signed, but I am just joking with you. But I will say this. I am honored to have your jersey because, as I've told this story before, and I want to say it again, you're the one guy that came up to the press box, introduced yourself to me when we'd only talked, and you listened to the podcast to learn about your other teammates, and you made a connection with me that I'm not saying that some of the boys haven't made connections with me. They have. You did it in such a human way that it meant a lot to me. So when I saw that jersey, when EJ showed me that jersey, and he said, this is the jersey that we're doing for the Hall of Fame night, I was like, holy shit, I got to get one of those. And then I was like, well, I'm going to get Liam's. I'm going to get LA's. Sadly, I didn't realize, because I didn't pay attention to all the jersey auctions, there's a few people that gravitated towards your jersey. There's some people that gravitated to other people's jerseys, and there was going to be a little bit of a bidding war that was going to happen there. But I still got it. That's all that matters, and I'm happy to have it.
Yeah, I appreciate you buying it. Again, that jersey is just so nice, but
it is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Liam, thank you very much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. I'm sure the fans are going to be happy to not only hear you over these next couple of days. It's just kind of ironic. I messaged you and said, hey, do you want to come on the show? Because we talked about it about a week and a half ago, when you texted me and said, hey, I'm coming back to North America. I had to remember to say that. I always say the States, and, there's this big debate right now with Canada and U.S. So let's not get into that, but because it's really offensive to both people, and I certainly don't want to get into that conversation. But you said, hey, I'm coming back. Let's get together and everything. So I'm just kind of glad that you're coming in for the game in Danbury against Danbury. That's going to be very cool. I can't wait to see you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, Bob, thanks for having me. It's always nice catching up with you. And if anyone from Harsefeld took the time to listen, danke schön. I love you guys over there. And, I'll be back in Harsefeld again someday, just not sure when. And to the Black Bears fans, I can't wait to see you all. And go Bears, baby.
All right.
Go back to back.
Awesome. Absolutely. He is obviously Liam L.A. Anderson, and we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was L.A. Liam Anderson, and really excited to be able to talk to him. And, of course, he'll be at the game on Friday as the Black Bears play a home-and-home series against the Danbury Hat-Tricks. They'll play Friday night at home in the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena, and L.A. will be there. He'll get his ring for being a part of that championship team last year. So that'll be pretty cool. Probably we'll see a few fans and shake some hands, and maybe even Mike Singleton, if you want that jersey autographed, bring that jersey, the Harsefeld jersey that you got of Liam Anderson's, to the game, and he will sign it for you, which would be pretty cool. It's always nice to get in touch and talk to some of these guys. I do want to say that I am recording for next week, even though the team is going to be on the road and be down in Athens, Georgia on Wednesday and Thursday, playing those two games against the Rock Lobsters. I am recording on Thursday evening with Dan Weber. Dan Weber is going to come back and come on, and we're going to talk about Minnesota high school hockey because, first of all, if I want to talk to somebody who's been a part of it a little bit more. I've tried to study up on it a little bit, talk about, the championship day that they do. And his father wants me to get out there to see high school hockey at, where the Minnesota Wild play, which is the Excel Center, I think. It's got some name. I'll have that down for the interview. But they sell it out. They sell it like a 17,000, 18,000 seat arena where the Minnesota Wild play for high school hockey. Folks, you don't realize it's bigger than even high school football in Texas. That's how crazy big and pretty awesome it is. We'll talk to Dan Weber a little bit about that. I need to know if his school was a AA school or a single A school, because there's a difference, and I really don't truly understand what the difference is. It has nothing to do with quality of play. It has to do with, I think, the size of the school, right? Like the Binghamton Patriots winning the AA state class championship for basketball, which is pretty cool because that'll be on Friday. They're going to honor those kids with the puck drop. A lot of other cool stuff going on with the Black Bears on Friday as well. So that's going to be pretty much it for me. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcasts and subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search for Power Play Post Show, and please join the group. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and former Binghamton Black Bears defenseman, L.A. Liam Anderson. I am Bob Howard. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you this upcoming Sunday as we cover and break down the games against the Danbury Hat-Tricks right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.